we gotta talk about Zilla Fatu because the timeline on this guy just got a lot more real, and basically every signal WWE's been sending points the exact same direction. Welcome back to WWE Galaxy, I'm Nova. Before anything else, quick correction because some of you made sure I heard about it in the comments last time. I called Zilla Jacob's brother. He's not, they're cousins. I apparently have some family tree homework to do, and I appreciate you all keeping me honest, even if a few of those comments read like death threats over a genealogy mistake. So if you're not familiar, Zilla Fatu is the son of the late great Umaga. Got his start at Reality of Wrestling, that's Booker T's school, made his official debut back in 2023. Since then, this guy's been running absolutely rampant across the independent scene. Multiple championships, real credibility, not some green rookie who just walked in off the street. And the family tree here does matter, we've now established that properly. Umaga was brothers with Rikishi and Sam Fatu, which makes Zilla cousin to Jimmy and Jey Uso, and cousin to Jacob Fatu too. So the second his name comes up, people's minds go straight to the bloodline, and that instinct is correct, even if I got the specific relationship wrong the first time around. This past weekend, Zilla defended his Crown Jewel Championship against Amazing Red at House of Glory, and he lost. But it's what happened after the match that actually matters here. This was clearly a scripted farewell. The House of Glory crowd gave him this massive send-off, and the announce team on commentary straight up acknowledged that Zilla was leaving the company. That's not subtle. That's a promotion saying goodbye to their guy because everybody already knows where he's headed next. Now, am I saying that's 100% confirmed proof he's WWE bound immediately? No, but the correlation is right there, sitting in plain sight. And honestly, watching that farewell, hearing that crowd, my first instinct wasn't NXT. My first instinct was, throw this guy directly onto Raw or SmackDown right now. Let's see what he does with the biggest stage available immediately. I get why people want that. I want that too, if I'm being completely honest with you. Why main roster isn't the right call yet, even though part of me wants it. But wanting something and thinking it's actually the smart move aren't always the same thing. Here's where I land after actually thinking it through instead of just going off excitement. I don't think he's ready for the main roster yet, and I don't think WWE thinks so either, even though a part of me would absolutely tune in if they prove me wrong tomorrow. Look at the blueprint that's already sitting right there with Solo Sikoa. Sikoa didn't just get thrown onto Raw or SmackDown the second he signed. He spent real time in NXT first, building his character, sharpening his in-ring work, figuring out who he actually was as a performer before any of the big bloodline stuff ever touched him. That development window mattered. It's part of why he was ready when the spotlight actually hit, instead of getting rushed and potentially exposed before the character had any real depth to it. What he actually leaves behind. It's worth appreciating what he's actually walking away from too, because it's not nothing. Multiple championship runs across different promotions, real chants from crowds who genuinely wanted to see more of him, moments where he already got a taste of a WWE audience during NXT special events and had people reacting to him before he was even signed. That's a guy who's already built something real for himself, independent of any family name attached to it, which honestly makes the case for NXT even stronger, not weaker. He's not walking in needing to prove he belongs. He's walking in with a head start most call-ups don't get. Why the timing on NXT itself actually lines up. And here's something I don't think people are factoring in enough. The state of NXT right now under Robert Stone specifically. Stone took over full-time back in March after Ava left, and he's been extremely vocal about what he wants this next chapter to look like. In his own words, it's time for new talent to step up, and that's exactly what he's been pushing for. He's already lost major established names off that roster, guys like Obafemi and Jevon Evans getting called up to the main roster, which means there's real, open space at the top of NXT television right now for somebody to fill that gap. That's not a small detail. A brand actively rebuilding its top of card, run by a GM who's publicly said he wants fresh faces stepping into that spotlight, is about the best possible landing spot for a guy like Zilla. He wouldn't be fighting for scraps in a crowded division. He'd be walking into an environment that's specifically hungry for exactly what he brings. If this kind of prediction is what you actually come here for, tapping like and subscribing really helps me keep tracking stuff like this, and also helps me not embarrass myself with the family tree next time. Let's get into why the reporting actually backs this up. And it's not just me connecting dots here off vibes. Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter said Zilla is expected to start with WWE soon, and that report specifically noted NXT as the likely starting point before any main roster involvement. Paul Heyman himself has publicly said WWE would be making a mistake not to sign this guy the first chance they got. So you've got a Legends kid, real independent credibility, real reported interest at the highest levels of the company, and reporting that specifically points toward NXT as the starting spot. That's not speculation stacked on speculation. That's a pattern that's already been laid out pretty clearly if you're paying attention. What a year in NXT actually buys him. Think about what that year actually does for him strategically. It lets him build an identity that isn't just, this is Umaga's son, or this is Jacob's cousin, and yes, I'm going to keep saying cousin for the rest of my life now. It gives him time to develop his own in-ring style, find his own voice on the mic, before he's ever standing next to Reigns or Fatu with all that pressure attached immediately, and when he does eventually make that main roster jump, it lands with actual weight behind it. Instead of a guy getting rushed in because of his last name, you've got someone who's already proven himself on NXT television first, the same way Sikoa did, the same way plenty of other now established stars did before jumping up. There's also a practical piece to this too. NXT gives creative a controlled environment to figure out his actual character before committing to a direction on the biggest stage in the company. If something doesn't click right away, that's a much smaller problem to fix in front of an NXT audience than in front of millions of people on Raw. I do want to give the other side its due, because I'm not fully dismissing it even after everything I just laid out. WWE has skipped the developmental step before for talent they felt was ready immediately, and given how connected Zilla already is to an active, ongoing main roster storyline, there's a real argument that sitting him in NXT for months wastes momentum that's hot right now. Storylines move fast, and by the time a full NXT run wraps up, the exact bloodline dynamics that make him relevant today could look completely different. That's a legitimate risk with the slower route, and it's part of why I understand the instinct to just throw him in immediately, even if I still think the patient path wins out here. The timeline I actually think plays out. So here's my actual prediction. Zilla signs relatively soon, given how the Hog sendoff played out and how strongly insiders are talking about this. He starts in NXT, not the main roster, spends real time there building his character on his own terms, in a brand that's actively looking for exactly the kind of fresh top-of-card presence he could provide. And somewhere down the line, maybe 6 months, maybe closer to a year, that's when the bloodline connection actually gets activated, once he's actually ready to carry that kind of spotlight. So am I right about the NXT route, or do you think WWE skips all of that and throws him straight into the fire on the main roster? Tell me your prediction in the comments, and this time, feel free to correct me on anything I still might have gotten wrong, gently. Like the video if this timeline made sense to you, subscribe if you're new, and I'll keep tracking this one all the way to his actual debut. I'm Nova, WWE Galaxy. See you in the next one.